Davidson.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. To ask the First Minister when he'll next meet the Prime Minister.
First Minister.
No plans, near future.
Ruth Davidson.
Let's simplify this a little. We know that the former First Minister, Jack McConnell, was hacked. We know that his children were hacked. We know that the current First Minister's close parliamentary aide was hacked. What Parliament and the people of Scotland deserve to be told is whether this First Minister was hacked. His spokesman has repeatedly said that his boss will reveal all to the Davidson inquiry. But this First Minister reports to this Parliament. So this is his big opportunity. Dodging the question now, only to reveal all when he takes the stand later, will look like media manipulation of the very worst kind. Was he hacked and didn't speak out to protect his new pest pal? Or did Rupert not need to bother tapping his phone because he was already on speed dial? Parliament is asking. Scotland is watching. First Minister, were you hacked?
First Minister.
As Ruth Davidson rightly says, I'll be going to the Davidson inquiry. I'll be speaking specifically about a range of matters under oath, and that's where I shall give my evidence, which is exactly the right thing to do. An inquiry which was set up by cross-party agreement on a judicial basis. But in the course of her question, Ruth Davidson referred to media manipulation of the worst kind, and the two words that came to my mind when she said that were Andy Coulson.
Ruth Davidson.
Well, let's talk of inquiries then, shall we? You want to speak at the Davidson inquiry. We have a First Minister who's willing to speak at an English inquiry but not hold one in Scotland. He says that police have primacy, and yet an inquiry in England. He says that police have primacy. He says that police have primacy as it is ongoing, as investigations are ongoing, and yet the departure of the Culture, Media and Sport Committee managed to hold an inquiry at Westminster. We need to look deeper in Scotland than Davidson allows when it comes to the conduct of this First Minister. So I support calls for an inquiry in this Parliament, especially when the First Minister's intervention appears to contravene a law of his own making. The Judiciary and Courts Scotland Act 2008 states, in particular, the First Minister must not seek to influence particular judicial decisions through any special access to the judiciary. The UK Culture Secretary was acting in a quasi-judicial role on the issue of B-Sky-B, and the First Minister has admitted that he was seeking to influence him. Indeed, there were desperate calls between his office and that of the Minister. So surely, when there are questions as to whether surely when there are questions as to whether a First Minister of Scotland may have acted in contravention of Scots law, a parliamentary inquiry is the minimum to which we are entitled.
First Minister.
I don't think even your backbenchers believed that absolute mince of a question. I mean, for goodness sake, the First Minister of Scotland advocates jobs and investment for Scotland at every single opportunity, and that's what it should do. As far as Davidson is concerned, Davidson is not an English inquiry. It's set up under the... If I'd said it was an English inquiry, the Tory bench has been bouncing up and accusing me of racism and narrow nationalism and all that sort of thing. Surely she hasn't lost her belief in the United Kingdom. She surely knows that it's a cross-border inquiry. She surely knows and has read the input that the Scottish Government is as we try to strengthen the terms of reference to the inquiry, and I'm sure she'll be on the edge of her seat when I give evidence to Davidson next month. But can I just say this about the Conservative Party? The Parliamentary Committee in Westminster, of course, had their inquiry into whether they were misled in terms of previous occasions. But the Conservative Party doesn't seem to have grasped the essential point in all of this, that when there are questions asked about the Prime Minister and referring people to independent adjudication, they have an independent adjudicator who has not once been asked to adjudicate on anything. They actually pay an independent adjudicator on the ministerial code, and he hasn't been called into action once. I've referred myself 5 times. The fact that every single one of them get kicked out the park is neither here nor there, so I think I've stood up to examination rather better than her colleagues in Westminster.